going with the flow. Some people believe going with the flow means taking a passive approach to life. Some believe going with the flow means not taking action to make things happen. Some believe going with the flow means allowing others to control our narrative. Now, for me, going with the flow is anything but passive. For me, going with the flow is easier said than done. As long as we're in human form, we're not privy to the spiritual orchestration happening behind the scenes. In other words, situations are not always as they seem. Situations are not always meant to be taken at face value. There will be things in life that don't always make sense. There will be things in life that will always remain a mystery. And trying to reconcile life from a purely logical point of view will only create resistance in our energy. However, universal laws are always at play, and we are always receiving guidance that sometimes comes in the form of intuitive nudges. And based on my personal experience, these nudges seldom make sense. But eventually, I'm always able to connect the dots. And so this is what going with the flow means to me. It means going with the flow of our guidance, even when it makes no sense. In other words, we need to trust our intuition more than our logic. Things aren't always going to make sense at the time it's happening, but eventually we'll be able to connect the dots. For me, going with the flow means going with the flow of all the ups and downs of life. Life was not designed to be perfect. And going with the flow means accepting the ebbs and flows of life. Going with the flow means flowing through toxic people and situations. It's about learning the lessons and making new choices. In other words, it's about flowing through our karma. Going with the flow means going with the flow of change. Change as it relates to our career, change as it relates to loss, change as it relates to aging. Change is inevitable, and it's in our best interest to go with the flow of change. Going with the flow means going with the flow of our mistakes, knowing we can always correct and redirect our energy. We're never stuck. The key is to pay attention to our karma. It's our feedback. Going with the flow means going with the flow of our emotions. Negative emotions, such as fear and anxiety, can paralyze us from moving forward. Part of being human involves feeling all emotions, and avoiding negative emotions will only allow it to fester and create resistance in our energy. It's in our best interest to acknowledge it, understand it, and allow it to flow through us and keep our energy moving. Going with the flow means going with the flow of our journey without judging it. There may be times when it seems like we're not seeing results. Remember, things are not always as they seem. So rather than judging our current situation, we can take comfort in knowing everything happens for a reason, and our current situation may involve many important lessons we need to learn in order to be prepared for our next level of growth. Going with the flow means going with the flow of our perspective. It means going with the flow of our vision. It's a scientific fact that our vision comes from our mind, which means our perspective is a direct reflection of our own unique mind. For example, I can say this is blue. In other words, my perspective may not always make sense to others, and that's okay. In my opinion, going with the flow is about resilience. It's about keeping our energy flowing freely without resistance. It's about having a deep understanding of the transitory nature of life. Going with the flow means trusting divine timing. It means trusting divine order. Going with the flow is all about the journey of self-love. I have a quote I'd like to share with you. This quote is by Mandy Hale. The more you go with the flow of life and surrender the outcome to God, and the less you seek constant clarity, the more you will find that fabulous things start to show up in your life. Well, this is all I have for today. Thanks so much for joining me. And if you have any questions, or you'd simply like to connect, feel free to do so through my personal email. I've listed it in the description below. Until we meet again, be safe and make sure to keep paying attention to your karma. It's our greatest teacher.